Welcome to Mr. Levin's Rock Whisperer, Unit 2-3, How to Read a Topographic Map. So when we look at a topographic map, we're looking at a large map, usually about 2 feet by 3 feet, and there's a ton of information. So I'm going to try to show you the large map really quickly here and then break down each section. So we can have, and then sometimes maps are topographic maps. Let me write that down for you. Topographic maps, or sometimes you may hear them referred to as quadrangles. So they can give the quad name. They also give all the adjacent ones: upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, and on the sides. Down on the bottom, they give road classification, some information. They give publication date information when the maps were checked, what the magnetic declination is, scale, and the location of the map. So let's break these down into smaller sections. So up in the top right hand corner, so this is the upper right, and we can see that right here, we are going to have the quad name. So in this particular case, we are looking at the Galway Quadrangle in New York. It's telling you that it's 7.5 minutes. That means from the westernmost side to the easternmost side, it's 7.5 minutes, and from north all the way to the south, and we're not going to see the whole bottom right now, but all the way to the south, it's going to be 7.5 minutes. We'll talk a little bit more about how to break down the degrees, minutes, and seconds, but we can see here that we're at 43 degrees, 7 minutes, and 30 seconds. If it's 7.5 minutes, then on the bottom we're going to have 43 degrees, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. So now we are in the upper left-hand corner of the map, and we can still see it's 43 degrees, 7 minutes, and 30 seconds, but we can see that our longitude number has changed. So this gives us a little bit of information about the map up here. Who made the map? The United States Department of the Interior, the Geologic Survey. Up here it says Northville. That means in this particular corner, we could have another map to add on, and it would be, we would look for the Northville map for that particular one. In the bottom left-hand corner, and as I said earlier, the bottom was going to be 43 degrees because we took away 7.5 minutes. We still have the same longitude because we're on that same side of the map, but it tells us who the map was made by, who it was edited by, who it was revised by, with the New York State Department of Transportation. This tells us that the original map was made from aerial photographs, originally done in 1943. They went out and field checked the map. That means they went out and actually looked to make sure, and we can see up here there's some houses. Those are symbols for houses and different things that we would see. The map was revised, this particular map, in 1969 and field checked in 1970. So if your house was made after 1970, you're not on this map right now. We can also see that in this other corner down here, we would be looking for the Amsterdam map. So we could have 8 maps around the outside of the Galway map to help us extend the area. So back onto the next corner, so we're in the lower right-hand corner. We're still at 43 degrees, but notice now we're at 74 degrees. On the previous page, we were at 74 degrees, 7.5 minutes. Now we're over to the east, 74, 0. 7.5 minute map. So here's the road classifications. So it shows you what the different roads are and some of the symbols. And it also tells you down here that we were in the Galway Quadrangle and the year the map was made. In this particular corner over here, we would have, or we could line up with the Burnt Hills map. This shows us the scale on a map. So this particular number right here is showing us that 1 unit on the map is equal to the large number 24,000 units on the Earth. I think I forgot an E there for Earth. So 1 inch on this map is 24,000 inches on the actual Earth. So what you also need to be aware of on this particular map is we have a scale, but notice zeros in the middle. So if we're measuring things, we can go from 0 out here to 1 to be 1 mile. One of the common mistakes is that people will measure from here all the way over to this mark and consider it 1 mile, when actually we've gone 2 miles. We've gone from here to here, which is 1 mile, and then we have another full mile on the other side. Same thing happens over here. Here's 1,000 feet broken down into individual sections, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Same thing here for kilometers. Another piece of data that's useful to know is what is our contour interval. So right here it shows us the contour interval, and it says it's 20 feet. When we look at the actual map and we see lines on the map, every little brown line, and we'll show you that in a little bit, is going to be represented by 20 feet. And one other thing that they show you here is where in New York State this is located. Let me go back here. Right here we can see these lines, and I'm going to trace over them in green here, but this line has an altitude or elevation. This one here has an elevation too, and we can tell right here that this one is actually labeled, and we know that these would be 20, or they're increasing or decreasing by 20 depending on which way we're going. And it's kind of hard to see being we don't have the full map. And then the last page here that I want to show you really quickly is magnetic declination. So we are showing here that this is magnetic north, and then this one over here is geographic north. So where is the actual magnetic north and where is the actual geographic north? And we have an angle of declination. How far off are we? 13 degrees, and then about 0.38 on this side. So for Galway, we are off by approximately 13.5 degrees between magnetic and geographic north. On the side of the map, and it doesn't matter if it's the left or the right side, we can see some information on this. Again, if we scroll down a little bit, over here on this side, we're seeing that we would use the Broad Alban quadrangle or the Broad Alban map, and it would connect in. There are some numbers along the side. Some of them we don't really need to pay attention to, but the ones that we're going to look for on our particular maps are look like this. That's 5 minutes. So we know what the top number is. We said we were at 43 degrees at the bottom, and we're at 43.7.5 on the top. So this 5 means that we are 43 degrees in 5 minutes and 0 seconds. These other numbers, we don't need to use them. Those are helping us show the intervals. We can, if we divided this map up into smaller sections. So a variety of different symbols that you can see on the map. I'll have a packet for you to help go through these to find things, but here are some different hazards and vertical controls. This stands for a benchmark, which is an actual physical metal marker that's in the ground that you could look at that tells the exact elevation at that particular point. So that would be the elevation at that particular place. Here are some more that seems to be the same one. Buildings are going to be square shaped depending on what's inside of them. A school will have a flag on the top. A church will have a cross. Built up areas, racetracks. So when we look at Saratoga or Milton, we could see the airport, a landing strip. So that might be in Galway out by Bob's Trees. Wells, tanks, covered containers, and a variety of other things that we can see. Brown lines are going to be our maps. If we have little lines on the inside, that's showing a depression in that particular area. On the bottom, we can see that green is going to represent a forested or a tree area. So you can see in the background here that there are some examples of what topographic maps would be. One of the things you're going to need to be able to do is to figure out what the topographic map looks like in a profile section. Please go to the Rock Whisperer channel, look up the video on creating profiles, and take a look at that also, and you'll completely understand what is happening with these particular pictures.